Hello and welcome to a Mimosa Help Me Help You video. This first in the video series where we'll go through unboxing products, configuring products, installing and aligning products. So today we're going to go through the Mimosa C5x point-to-point setup. So this is the C5x and it comes in a nice pretty box. And it's just the radio and the hose clamps. There's nothing else included. You'll need to get PoE injectors separately. So this is the gray Mimosa PoE. And the PoE doesn't come with power cables either, so you'll need to make sure you get third-party cables from somewhere. So plug your PoE in. Now you want to take your Ethernet cable and plug into the C5x. You can put your cover back on if you'd like, and then take your Ethernet cable here, and we want to plug it into the PoE port on the PoE. When you plug your PoE in, you should see the green light power on, so you have that there. If you pop the cover back off, you'll see that your C5x is lit up inside as well. It's flashing green, which means it's booting. It usually takes about 2 minutes for the radio to actually boot, so that light will turn solid green when you're done. So we'll take our next cable here, we'll plug it into the LAN port on the PoE, and then we'll plug it into our laptop. Now that we've got our radio plugged into our laptop, we need to make sure we set a static IP so we can actually access the radio. So let's go ahead, and this is a Mac computer. It's pretty similar for Windows. So we'll go to here, we'll set manual. The default IP for these are 192.168.1.20. So we need to make sure we set our laptop to something other than that. We want to make sure that we leave our gateway or our router, depending on which laptop you're on, blank. And then we'll hit apply, and then we'll close the screen out. So let's go ahead and open up Firefox here, or whatever browser you'd want. We'll type in 192.168.1.20, and that should bring us to the first screen on the radio. For a brand new radio, that'll be the firmware update screen. If it's a radio that's already been configured once before, it should be the unlock screen. So as you can see here, it's starting to load up. And now it's going to ask us for firmware. So for new users, of course, you need to have the firmware already on your laptop, or you can connect to the Wi-Fi if you're using a laptop and download it from the internet. So that's what we're going to go ahead and go do now. So we're going to go to cloud.mimosa.co. And we're going to log in as me. We're going to go to Manage. We're going to go to Update Firmware, Download Firmware, and we're on C5x, so we want to download the C5x firmware. We're going to do 252, which is the most recent version. Save. And now we can see it's downloading, and it's complete. So we don't need that for right now, so we'll go ahead and go back to the C5x screen, go to our downloads, and we will choose the correct firmware. And we'll open, and then we'll upload. So it usually takes several minutes for the firmware to actually upload, for the radio to verify the upload, and then reboot. When the radio comes up and says it's rebooting, it takes about 2 minutes for the radio to reboot, and then you can log back into the radio. So now we'll just sit here and wait for it to finish. So now that your radio is rebooted, you can see, let's set up brand new C5x screen. So you have either auto unlocking configuration or manual unlocking configuration. Since you're setting this up hopefully in a lab environment before you actually deploy this on the tower, we're going to go ahead and choose manual unlock. So the serial number here, let's go ahead and copy that, and let's go ahead and get an unlock key. So we'll go ahead and click that, we'll sign in, and it'll take you straight to your unlock page. We will paste that in. If you're a brand new user, you probably will have to verify that you're in the country you're trying to unlock to. So let's go ahead and click the verify. This is my number, so please don't call me. You can Facebook me if you really want to talk to me. Okay, so now I've received my verification code, so we'll type that in here. Hey, I'm verified. Excellent. So now that I'm verified, I'll go ahead and choose point-to-point because that's what we want to do. Put the check mark in. I agree to sign my life away. And now I have the unlock key. So I'll go ahead and copy that, go back to the initial screen, and paste that in and hit unlock. So just a little information here while we're doing this. The radios come unlocked in point-to-multipoint mode. So when you put a point-to-point unlock code in there, the radio actually has to reboot again to reboot into point-to-point mode. This is the only time you have to worry about that. Once you log into the radio, you can change between modes at any time. So we'll sit here, we'll wait our 2 minutes, and we'll get back into the radio. 2 minutes are up. We'll go ahead and go back to 192.168.1.20. And now we need to enter a password. So this is the management password that you need to use when you log into the radio every time. So make sure that you choose something that you'll remember, but something that's secure as well. Okay, so now we're logged into the radio, and you can see here you have the dashboard, which we've talked about in depth in some other videos, but it has all the information you need on your radio, including noise floor, the transmit and receive power, what channel you're on, the radio info, including the IP, which one's the AP, which one's the station, your Ethernet status, and so on. So to set up a link to work, let's go ahead and go to the channel and power page first. If you already know what your spectrum looks like at a tower site, that's great. Otherwise, just pretty much, you should honestly go out and do a spectrum analyzer first before you choose channels. Otherwise, if your link is long, it might not link up at all. So for this scenario, we're in the office here, so we can see that 5840 is pretty clear. So we'll choose that. We'll make sure our transmit power is as low as possible, and then we'll go ahead and save changes. Now that we have the channel and power set up, let's go ahead and go to the link page. And this is the most important page because this is where you either have the access point set up or the station unit set up. You want to make sure you're in point-to-point. You can choose between point-to-point and point-to-multipoint. We want to make sure that this particular radio is an access point. And then you can set your traffic split to 50-50, 75-25, 25-75, or auto. For radios that aren't GPS synced, like this particular unit, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't choose auto. So auto should be your go-to for the highest throughput on the link. In the link configuration screen here, you need to choose an SSID, which should be the same on both radios or they won't link up. So for this particular one, we're going to do test link. And then encryption key, make sure you choose something that is in both radios. So we'll just leave this one as Mimosa Networks for now. And we'll hit Save Changes. And let's go ahead and go to Management. The last important thing you need to do is set up an IP address on the radio. So currently, and by default, it's set up to DHCP plus static failover. And the default IP, of course, is 192.168.1.20. So if you have a DHCP server, you can leave it as DHCP. And if you don't, then you'll need to assign a static IP to it. So for this particular thing, we're going to do static, and I'm going to set an IP address, 10.1.212. That sounds like a good one. 240.0, 10.0.1.1, sorry, gateway. And once you save the changes on this page, you'll have to change the IP address in your network card to get back into the radio. So we'll go ahead and save changes. and you should get a dialog box that says please change your browser URL to go to the new IP. But first we'll need to go ahead and change our IP address in our laptop. Make sure you put your IP in correctly or you won't be able to get to your radio. Now that you are on the same subnet as the radio's IP, you can log back in. And there you go. So the access point's now configured. So we'll go ahead and go through the same process for the station unit. Okay guys, we're going to go ahead and do the same exact thing for the other C5x radio now, but we're going to configure it as a station instead of an access point. I've left the C5x access point plugged in, but I've unplugged the data cable from my laptop. So right now it's still on and trying to find its station buddies. So we'll go ahead and configure that now. So on the laptop, we're going to go back. We're going to configure the IP address again. We're going to do 192.168.1.25, 255.255.255.0, apply. And so we'll just wait for the radio to boot. Another tip for you to know when the radio is completely booted is that you can open up a command prompt or a terminal window and do ping 192.168.1.20. On Windows, you want to do -T after that. On Mac, you don't have to worry about that. You just type in the IP and it'll start pinging continuously until you end it. Using your command window here, you can see it started pinging, so we'll go ahead and close that. We'll go ahead and go to a browser, do 192.168.1.20. And you should get the same screen if it's a brand new unit. It's going to ask for firmware. The good news is you've already downloaded it, so just hit choose file, and we'll go ahead and choose C5x point-to-point 252, and we'll upload. So now we get to wait a few minutes here, and then we'll be able to log in and configure the radio. So our firmware is finished and it's rebooted. So again, we're going to go through the manual unlock and configuration process. So we're going to grab this serial number here. We're going to copy and paste. Copy. We're going to connect to the Wi-Fi again. And we're going to hit unlock additional devices. Paste in the serial number. Choose point to point, put the check mark there to sign your soul away, and then hit submit. You have your new unlock key that you'll then copy and then paste into the unlock key window. We'll hit unlock, and then just like with the last radio, it's unlocking this to point mode, so it's going to take about 2 minutes for the radio to reboot. Again, you can pull up a ping window and then ping 192.168.1.20 to watch the radio stop pinging for 1.5 to 2 minutes, then it'll start pinging again, and then we can go ahead and start the process. Alright, so now you can see that your radio has finished rebooting and it started pinging again. So we'll go ahead and close the ping window here, and we'll go ahead and go back to 192.168.1.20. And just like with the last radio, it's asking for a management password for the UI login. So we'll go ahead and type one in, and we'll go ahead and log into the radio. And we're logged in, the exact same screen that you saw before. So you don't have to worry about the channel and power because it gets its configuration from the AP. The only couple of things we need to do is first go to link, choose station. Again, it gets all of its info from the AP. Yep. So we'll type in test link, which was the SSID from our last link. Our encryption key was Mimosa now works, so we'll go ahead and save changes. Changing it from AP to station, you have to go through a reboot. So we'll go ahead and reboot the radio, and then we'll make one last change on the general management page, changing the IP, and then we'll be good to go. Okay, so now our radio has rebooted, so we'll go ahead and we'll log back in. we'll go ahead and we will configure the IP address. Then we'll save changes. And we'll go ahead and change our, we'll turn the Wi-Fi off. We'll change our IP address. 10.1.0.215. And we can add a router in this time. Okay, so now that we've got the SSID configured, the radio is linked up. We'll go back here to the dashboard, and you'll see that you're connected at -42. Also, if we look at the radio itself, you can see that the light is flashing rapidly. That's to show or indicate that you actually have a wireless link between the two radios. So we know that these actually link up now, but let's go ahead and test internet connectivity too, just to confirm that everything's working okay. We'll take this long Ethernet cable here. We'll plug the long one into the LAN port of the AP. We'll plug that into the wall to an internet port, and then I'll go ahead and plug in my Ethernet cable to my laptop. We'll go ahead and plug this in. We'll set our laptop to DHCP since we have a DHCP server here. We'll do speedtest.net just to confirm everything's working okay. We should be expecting around 40 or 50 megs because that's all we have in this area. Yep, so we're pulling all the bandwidth we have available, so we know it works. So you know that your radios are ready to go up on the tower now. Before you mount this on the tower, we're going to go ahead and attach it to our new FlexiMount XL, which is built specifically for the C5X with the 25 dBi dish on it. So give me like 20 hours here while I do hose clamps, and we'll get this mounted. So the purpose of this FlexiMount is to give you additional tilt on your radio. So if you have different elevations between your 2 points, your 2 towers, your 2 buildings, you can adjust it to accommodate for that. Also, we'll go ahead and take our dish here. It's not really a dish though, it's a horn. And we'll go ahead and screw that on. And we're good to go install, so let's go do it. Gosh, it's really high up here, guys. It's kind of scary. Make sure when you're on towers or on rooftops that you're using your OSHA regulated fall protection gear. So for towers, of course, your fall protection harnesses, when you're on rooftops, ropes, and all the other items that you're needing to not get in trouble with OSHA, because it's very expensive. Gosh, I'm so tired from climbing so high. I'm gonna die. So anyway, we're going to show you this install here of this C5X. So this C5X has been mounted with the hose clamps, and it's going over to this location right across the room here. Here's the FlexiMount and the C5X we put together earlier. So we're just mounting this to a pretend rooftop, non-penetrating roof mount. Now that the mount's secure, we can go ahead and aim this in the right direction, which is right over there. And then you would tighten down the nut on here with the 10mm wrench. Then you're good to go. So next we're going to plug in and show you internet connectivity. So we're at the station end of the link, and as you look here, we can see the access point over there. Internet's coming into that access point, coming here to this station unit, and then down to this Nettonic switch. We're going to plug into the Nettonic switch. And we're going to make sure we get internet connectivity here. So in just a moment or two, we should get a DHCP address. We'll do speedtest.net just to confirm everything's working okay. So we know it works. Okay guys, thanks very much for watching the video. Hopefully this video will help you configure a C5x point-to-point from beginning to end and have an actual working link. If you have any questions or if you are looking for additional training with Mimosa, feel free to contact sales@mimosa.co. We've actually set up a nice demo area that you've seen in the video, a nice training area, and I'm more than willing to do training courses for you. So just send an email to sales@mimosa.co, talk to Jim, and we'll see about getting you scheduled. You come in here, we get you trained, you're good to go. You can also come to mimosa.co/support, talk to us on chat, and we're more than willing to help you with configuration issues or optimization issues you might have. So with that, we'll see you on the next Help Me Help You video.